Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to TV Room. David Bradley here. I've changed hats. This is an old Blue Jay hat. And the reason I have this hat on is because let me think about that. On July the 24th, Andrew and I had occasion to go to a Blue Jay game. I'll try and keep this short. It was a great game in that the Jays came back and won by a score of 8-4. That was all good. We had very good seats. And it was the Vladdy bobblehead, dancing bobblehead night thing. So we got that, although that's a whole other story. The part of the story that wasn't so good is right behind us were some young, very drunk, obnoxious people. And you know what? I don't mind yelling and screaming and yay, strike them out and swing, batter, 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 swing and all that stuff. But the vulgarity and such that was going on was um, I didn't count how many F words there were and whatever, but it was just like they were obviously. One fellow was quite quiet because I think he was almost in a state of where he could, barely function. The other guy was loud and obnoxious. And I didn't say anything to them, and I was patient, but I could look around. I could see the faces of other people who were like, this is not entertaining. This is not fun. This is not making this game good. It's not. It's making it bad. So oh, around the third inning, I got up, even though Andrew, my son, was like, no, no, don't say anything. And I went to the people in back. I said, this is not good. This is not enhancing our enjoyment of the game. And I can see everyone else around you is just like tolerating, but they're not happy with it. And, then I went off to get something to drink. No, non-alcoholic. Came back and there was various security people around, and the one guy, he did comment that maybe they could move us, and it's hard to move somebody in a sold-out stadium. But anyway, I said, look, I leave it to your good judgment, do whatever. Anyway, they were not talked to. They were not approached, and this carried on. So somewhere, maybe around the sixth inning, when it was just continuing to get worse and worse and worse, I went back and I said, like, what up with it? Anyway, they did summon their people again. And this time they were spoken to. And certainly after that, the swearing stopped. And the guy, he was so drunk, he was like, actually earlier on, he'd said, my job is to make sure that you can barely, like, walk going out of here and that I don't get kicked out. Well, anyway, it was so, and you know what, the staff was all very supportive, but they really didn't do anything. Sure. Now, looking back on it, I should have got up probably at the middle of the first inning and gone and said, yo, no, 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 no. I thought, they can't be this loud, obnoxious, and terrible forever. I was wrong. Anyway, it really did detract from the enjoyment of the game. Now, the Jays, thankfully, were able to come back and beat the Yankees 8-4, which is always helpful. But it was just this added stress. And a time or two, the guy would try and get up and he'd kind of stumble and bump me and, oh, yeah, sorry, boss. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, it just wasn't good. And, for a place that earlier on this year kicked somebody out for wearing some, Canadian hat or shirt that proclaimed something of I don't remember what it was. It wasn't Make Canada Great Again. It was, I don't know. It was something, obviously, because, of course, at the moment we are having issues with the President of the United States about him wanting to annex or invade us. So they quickly got rid of that guy, but here, sitting behind me, are these, and I said, it's not hard. Where we were sitting, there was like, they were right at the end. They could just walk to like an aisle that was right beside them without them even knowing, just standing, like just behind them, and they could hear. Now it's harder for them to hear where they were. They were a little farther back, and the voices, of course, carry forward. But anyway, um, I'm critical of myself, and I should have got up sooner and said, "Oh no, no, I'm not good enough." But really, when I went the first time, they should have been talked to, and they weren't. And then finally, they were. Now, as I say, the staff were all very supportive and all very, whatever. But also, we were in, kind of the exclusive seats, and maybe there was some trepidation over, you know, kicking out somebody in the special expensive seats. I don't know. Or maybe they knew this person, and who knows who his daddy is, or whatever, whatever, whatever. Certainly, I'm sure neither one of their parents would have been proud of them the way, especially the one who was loud and obnoxious. The other guy who was just so incredibly messed up on whatever he'd been drinking. Um, anyway, it reminds me of that ad. Oh, I think there was somebody giving somebody a ticket, and it was somewhere on the islands, and this fellow says, "Is your mother proud of you?" Anyway, the Blue Jays could have done better. I mean, they won the game, but I mean, their people, once being alerted, should have talked to them immediately. They didn't. I don't know why. I don't know if they are regulars. I know, certainly from the sound of it, that the guy who was mostly intoxicated and mostly hardly speaking, he supposedly got this other guy the ticket because he would babble on about, "Oh, you got me a ticket, I'll get you food, and I'll get you more booze, and da 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 da." Anyway, and he did. I mean, they were all talking, and I don't know how old these people were. The one guy, the obnoxious one, made reference that he was a college student, so he's probably old enough to drink. The other guy, I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, it wasn't pleasant, and um, it did not help anything. And I know it took away from the enjoyment of all the people around me. So I figure what I'm going to do is, I don't want to be too critical of the people. They were supportive. They just didn't do anything. But they were supportive. Many of them. Actually, there were many people who I really didn't talk to, who became aware of it and spoke to me, and were, supportive, and, sorry about that, and yeah. So they, it's just, I should have said something sooner, and I should have gone back sooner, even though I didn't speak up as soon as I should have. But they should have been talked to a lot earlier, and I could have helped with that. I mean, I could have, like, I don't complain much. I could have turned around and just said, "You, please, stop with your obscenities and be quiet." And then at least I could say I did, I warned them. But I didn't want it to turn into, where they, the guy's so drunk that he lunges over the thing and it turns into some sort of brawl. I did not. Anyway, I think I will write to the Blue Jays and say, this could have gone better. This should have gone better. And, I'll give them a chance to respond, reply, and see. But it shouldn't have been. It just should not have been. I did, on one of my phones, I did record some of their stuff before I finally went back. And of course, it was really too loud where we were. I could have gone off into a nice quiet place with somebody and said, "Well, here's some of the stuff they're saying." But I didn't. But anyway, they seemed to take it seriously the first time, but I guess more seriously because they finally did go. And I don't know what they said because I was not back in my seat yet. And that's just fine. So so they were warned, and the guy did babble on in his drunkenness that, oh yeah, I've been warned. Anyway, I will write to the Blue Jays and say, yo, great team, great game. You know what? Oh, I'm going to do something. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to look up, and people don't like when you do this. They don't like an informed consumer. I'm going to look up online their policies on drunken, abusive, such behaviors and what they do about it, and point out what didn't happen that should have happened, assuming that that's what their policies say, and see what they have to say. That is what I will do. Chances are, once I have written this, I will record and write it. Sorry, after I've written it, I will read it and record it and send it out unto you. Anyway, it does seem the Jays are on a tear. That is a good thing. And it's been a long time since we've had such excitement over a sports team in this fair city. So I don't want to take away from all of that, but it could have been better, much better. And for the silent bunch around me, I don't know if anybody else complained, but like there were people, like, just the voices carried a long way, and there were, not to say that every little kid doesn't say and doesn't know all the swear words. Oh, we must protect the children. It just wasn't good. Anyway, so I'll keep you posted. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely day. Go Jays, go. Bye for now.